So, without further ado, a person who needs no more introduction, the amazing Rocket!
That's so funny. I thought the song was way longer than that. That's okay, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know.
It's gonna be all right. All right. So far the readers have read partial stories. I am gonna just go ahead and read an entire story. Don't worry, it's not terribly long, but it's my favorite story of the zine for a couple reasons. And I'll just let it speak for itself. So hold on one second, let me find it. There it is. This story is called Hello, Stormy. The first strip club I ever danced at was also the last place I worked my very last shift. I was stuck to the place like glitter to glue, with a few stints of moonlighting elsewhere thrown in over the years. I always came back to Devil's Point. It's a tiny hole in the wall with red-tinted windows, a corner closet lap dance room, and a filthy graffiti-covered bathroom we had to share with the bar customers. Home sweet home. I can't think of that place without thinking about Stormy. Stormy Lynn Brasesco. Stormy was her real name, and when customers didn't believe that a cute stripper's name was also an adjective used to describe the weather, she'd whip out her ID card and cover up her street address with her finger to show them, grinning. Stormy, the wide-eyed, chain-smoking, cussing, bookworm, junkie, sex kitten tramp. One of the few people I had the bizarre experience of both loving and despising simultaneously. She'd piss me off like nobody else could, and then flip me back to loving her and hanging on her every word over the span of every 5-hour shift I ever worked with her. In all of my memories, she's forever smirking, long black and blonde Cruella de Vil hair teased into high side pigtails, big eyes circled with heavy black eyeliner, and red ruffle panties with a little black bow. The faux innocent image was not my first impression of her, however. When I first stepped into that little red cave of a club, my knees were shaking. I was green. I'd never worked a single shift at a strip club ever before. These girls were goddesses, leggy and graceful, and I was an awkward child with wide eyes and terrible posture. They would never accept me into their ranks. I was positively terrified. Immediately recognizable as the new girl, I was ushered to the dressing room by a sweet lady bartender named Lisa, who must have seen the panic in my eyes. "It's right through there, honey. Just go on in." Pulling back the beer-stained curtain to the cramped cubicle they called a dressing room, I was affronted by the bare ass of an impossibly tiny girl. One hand flat on the floor, the other fumbling around her vagina. She was looking back at me from between her knees. I froze. "Can you see it or not?" she yelled over the music. I could see it all right. There it was. I hesitated to reply. "I mean my tampon string," she yelled. "Can you see it?" Then she laughed. I couldn't, and I told her so. And that was how I met Stormy. She swore like a cuss-mouthed sailor and had a wild-eyed unpredictability about her that I have seen unmatched in anyone I've ever met before or since. You knew she was trouble the moment you laid eyes on her, but you could tell it was probably the fun kind of trouble. In the summer, she'd jump out of her cab wearing giant sunglasses like she was a rock star, even though the sun was already down by the time she arrived for her shift. Each thigh had a trucker mudflap girl tattoo, the simplified silhouette of a sexy reclining woman. She kept a fat black Sharpie in her overflowing dance bag that she'd use to fill in her chipped black nail polish and the scuffs on her black platform heels. Her requisite schoolgirl skirt was slashed and tattered, and often paired with a homemade white crop top on which she'd handwritten in all caps with her trusty Sharpie marker, "Will fuck for Coke." In her presence, I often struggled with whether I should be offended or charmed. She was a wild child to the core. She played up her small frame and youthful appearance to the extreme, calling customers "daddy" and sitting on their laps. One moment she'd act so innocent and sweet, and the next minute she was sucking a customer's fingers. She did one of her favorite tricks when she was on stage. Human Fly by the Cramps would be playing, or maybe Little Red Riding Hood by Sam the Sham, and she'd crawl around the edge of the tiny stage to an unsuspecting customer, scoop an ice cube from his drink, and rub it on her exposed pussy. Sometimes she'd even put it back in the glass. God bless her. Compared to most of the girls that I worked with, I was a total prude. I sometimes hated Stormy's behavior and scolded her for breaking club rules, allowing customers to touch her or doing scandalous things, like her infamous ice cube trick. "Aw, come on," she'd screech. "Don't be mad at me, I can't help it." One moment, I'd be seething, and the next minute, she was hugging me and cracking jokes, and I had a hard time staying angry at her. When I first started working at the club, I worked day shifts, which ended at 9 p.m. Because there were so few people walking through the doors during the day, and I had no idea how to hustle, I really wasn't making much money. Because she was so popular with the customers, Stormy worked exclusively night shifts. She was always late, but I would stay after my shift and do an extra set to cover for her. The club owner wanted at least 4 dancers on rotation when the night shift began. After a few months of greeting me at shift change, she walked in one day to find me packing my bag and suddenly flipped out. "What the fuck? You are still working day shift? This is so stupid." She told me I was too pretty to work days, and that she was going to tell the owner what she thought. A week later, my schedule consisted of night shifts only, including the coveted weekends. I never worked a day shift there again. Even though she was a few years younger than me, I always thought of her as older. She was definitely savvy to the ways of parting people from their cash, and quick. It was Stormy who taught me how to hustle customers. "You have what they want," she said bluntly. "If they don't want to pay you for dances, then say you have people who are waiting for you, and you walk away." When she needed money, she'd only come into the dressing room to reapply deodorant or spritz on the sticky, sweet perfume she kept in her makeup case. She'd wipe the sweat from her back and run right back out the door to make more cash. I'd watch her hop from table to table, making a point to talk to absolutely everyone in the place. If they turned her down for a dance, she'd persist, or give them a quick kiss on the cheek and say she was coming back for them later, so be ready. She'd never stand around looking bored or ignore anyone. She created a sense of urgency that made customers believe that she was in high demand. She amazed me with her brazen antics to get paid. I once saw her tell a customer that he needed to get dances, and he said, "Sorry, I just don't have the money." Without a second of hesitation, she reached into his front coat pocket, plucked out his wallet, opened it wide, revealing a wad of cash, and said, "Yes, you do. Look at all this money." And she dragged him off to the corner private dance booth. He was slack-jawed at what he was experiencing. This girl had chutzpah. When the club was agonizingly devoid of customers or she was exhausted, she'd curl up on the vinyl bench in the dressing room, a shot of Jägermeister in one hand and a book in the other. She'd be so captivated by her book that she wouldn't hear the DJ call her to the stage on the microphone. Her regular customers would bring her books and they'd discuss the story after they'd both finished reading it. She'd see me scribbling down notes in my journal at work and would beg to read it, but I'd rarely allow it. Her eyes would grow big and she'd ask, "Are you writing about me? Let me read it." She told me to keep writing and that she didn't care if I was writing about her, whether it was good or bad. She held the same stance on what I told customers about her. She had quite a reputation, and clubgoers were constantly asking about her. Not only was she well known as a stripper, she was also one of the original it girls for an alt model porn site that is now a huge corporation. When people who knew her from the web visited Portland, they made a point of coming to see her dance. Her fans would ask me and the other dancers on shift if all of the wild gossip about her was true. At first, I didn't respond to these rumors, but Stormy encouraged me to perpetuate them. "Tell people whatever you want about me if it helps you make money. Make shit up. I don't fucking care. I love the attention." This tactic made me a lot of money. If a customer had questions about Stormy, I'd tell them every crazy story I knew about her, but only if they got private dances. It's hard for me to believe that Stormy died in 2015. I have so many great stories about working with her, and so much more to share in future zines. No matter what anyone said about her, or how my own opinion of her swayed from day to day, there was one thing I always liked about her. No one was going to tell her what to do. She lived on her own terms, even if those terms seemed totally outrageous. In my mind, I'll forever see her slamming a taxi cab door as she arrives late for a shift, giant faux fur jacket falling off her slender frame, and Jackie O sunglasses shielding her pale face from the streetlights.